from faith to faith. You got to take the next step in your life. What is the next step? What is the next step for this church? What is the next step for your life? What is the next step for your family? Young people, I want some of you to come to Liberty University. Why? Because you'll meet God, and God will change your life. You'll meet the Lord, and God will send you out. We have about 22,000 pastors we've trained. Now, about 1/10 of all of our pastors plant a church, and so it's about 2,200 church planters, and about 22,000 have gone on to pastor a church all over the world. And so what's the next step you have to take? As a family, you say, well, we have to buy a house. What's the next step you have to take? As an individual, I have to go to college. What's the next step you have to take? I have to finish my college work. Every one of us has to take steps. And so you have to think about it, you have to feel about it, and you have to actually come to the place where you take that step. You come to that day, and that hour, and that minute, and that second, when you say, I'll do it, and you step out, and you make that step for God. Faith. What is faith? Faith is relationship with God. Faith is knowing God. And so when you come to take a step, it's not just that you by yourself are going to take that step. Faith is relationship. We walk with Christ, and we serve Christ, and we let Christ work through our life. And so you say, Christ is going to work through my life. And so faith is relationship. I remember telling Dr. Jerry Falwell, I said, you know, you have some of the greatest faith I've ever known. He said, no, Elmer, I don't have great faith. I have a great God. Faith is not about you. It's about the person in whom you put your faith. It's not about how hard you hang on. It's about how hard you try. It's not about how hard you work. Folks, this church is not about Carl Godwin. It's about God. It's not about Carl and Gail, or you, or the people, or the committee. It's about God. God wants this church to be a beacon on this hill so that people all over this city or this state will come to know Jesus Christ, and they will get saved. And so it's not about, faith is not about you. And so Jerry said, Elmer, I don't have great faith. I have a great God. And a great God can do great things if you let him. And I said, oh, I was going to write this story. And I remember folding my tablet up, sticking my pen back in my pocket. And he said, but now let me tell you how I got great faith. I pulled my pen back. I said, all right. And he said, I was a freshman at Baptist Bible College in Springfield, Missouri. He said, I had gone to Baptist Bible College. I had just been saved in January. I got there in September. And my pastor said, go get a Sunday school class, learn how to serve. And he said, okay. So I went and said to the pastor, I want a Sunday school class. Right below the auditorium of this church in Springfield was the big junior class. He said, go downstairs and see Max Hawkins. He said, I walked up and I said to Max Hawkins, Max, I'm supposed to have a Sunday school class. And he told him all that. And Max looked at him, walked him over to the edge, put up 2 curtains in a corner. He said, you can have a class in there. He said, somebody get a couple of chairs. They put a couple of chairs, gave him a roll book, and only had one name in it. And so Jerry went in, and he taught this boy. Next week he came back, taught the boy. He said, I prayed that God would bless the class. I prayed that God would cause it to grow. I prayed that God would really magnify it. And the third Sunday I went in and taught the class, and he said nothing was happening. So I caught Max Hawkins, an old Missouri farmer, between Sunday school and church. I said, Max, Sunday school is not going so well. Don't we give up so soon from faith to faith? Sunday school is not going so well. And I've been thinking about it, and I said, I think I'll look around for another job. And he said, I held out my roll book. He says, I held out my roll book. Max put both hands behind him. He said, yep, just what I figured, son. I said, what do you mean? He said, I was suspicious of you when I first saw you come. He said, you got that rich mom, got all that money, got a brand new car, you got everything made for you. you don't have any gumption. You don't have what it takes to really stick with the job. He said, you're not going to make it in ministry. And Jerry said, I was standing there holding this out. He said, yes, I will. I'll build a big church one day. He said, son, if you fail at the first thing you do, you'll never do a second thing. He said, now give me the book and we reach it. Jerry pulled. He said, no, I'll show you. I'll make this a great class. Jerry said, I went back and I had to pray. Faith drives you to your knees. He said, there was an empty dormitory room and I got a key. And soon as lunch was over, I would go into that room, unlock it, and I was going to pray all afternoon long. But he said, I couldn't pray that long. I wasn't that good of a Christian. He said, what I did, I got some deeper life books. Andrew Murray, Absolute Surrender. The Christian Secret of a Happy Life. Hannah Woodall Smith. E.M. Bounds, Power Through Prayer. And he said, I would read and pray and read and pray from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock every day. And then on Saturday, I went out and I got that one boy. I said, let's go get your buddies. We went to every house where he had a buddy, and I got them committed to come, got the parents committed to come, wrote down everything, told them what time I was coming. And the next Sunday, we went around and picked up all the boys and brought them to class. And I figured, if you can bring a car full of boys, get your roommate, got 2 cars full of boys. And he said, then we'd go out and we'd get their friends. And he said, we went through all the empty fields and the streams throughout Springfield looking for 4th grade boys. He said, one Saturday went down, there was a whole line of boys lined up for the matinee. We went through the line. You in the 4th grade? You in the 4th grade? Right? He said, then we got 3 cars. He said, every Sunday morning, like a giant snake or caterpillar winding through, we would fill up. He said, I averaged 57 4th grade boys in that Sunday school class. He said, God did it. I prayed and I worked and God did it. And so I want to challenge you to what God can do. You know, you feel, oh God, you've got to do it. And then you have to make a choice. Well, God, you think this will hold me, folks? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. You say, what did you prove? You say, what did you prove by doing that? Not a thing. Except it takes, when you take a step, you got to know and you got to feel. And Jerry said, I took a step. I prayed. Step of faith. And I began to read. And I would pray. And I would pray and I would pray. We prayed for boys, and every week more boys. I get that list of boys and I'd pray through that boys every day for them to get saved. And then I go, and folks, I want to challenge you to take a step and to, you've got 1,000, you had 1,700 on Easter. Now we need to reach 2,000 in attendance. Now we need to reach 2,000. That means your friends, every one of you have got a friend that you can win to Jesus Christ. Every one of you have got someone you know that you can touch. Maybe you've got family members who are messing around with the world or drugs, or they're messing around in things that are going to harm them. And so you said, I want to reach them for Jesus Christ. I recently wrote a book. Jerry Falwell died 2 years ago Friday. As I look back, I understand now the greatness of his faith. How do you build a university? We started out with 154 that first year. Right now, finishing up this year, we have 45,000 students. You know, we have built $4 billion. We have 6,000 acres, and we've built 123 buildings. The last 30 buildings we built, each one cost $1 million each, 30 dormitories. And so I look at all that God is doing there. How do you do that? You say, God, this is what you want to do. This is what God wants to do. Folks, today we sang the song, How Great is Our God. God is in the life-changing business. God is in the business of changing lives. Would you like to be changed? To do the